So happy to be here in person, meeting people face to face, interacting with them, and to see what's happening in the industry, right? For almost for the past 2 years to 3 years, we have all been doing it online without knowing what's happening on the other side. It's very difficult for presenter as well as for the I don't know about the attendees, but very difficult for the presenter because we don't know if there are people on the other side. So in that sense, I'm happy to be here standing in front of you to deliver this talk. So I'm Rajalakshmi, just call me Raji, that should do. So to give a brief about myself, I started my career as a software developer 22 years ago. So I've been in the industry for almost 23 years. And if you have heard of Zoho as a company, anybody aware of Zoho Corp as a company? So I'm from that. I mean, I started my career at Zoho and I'm with Zoho all along from where we started. And currently taking care of Site 24/7 as a product. But this talk, we will quickly cover about, this is about API days. I see a lot of developers who are handling APIs at different levels. So I thought I'll set the stage with giving how the API has transformed from what it was when I started as a developer to where it is today, and then about the software development itself and how is the future of work going to be? What's the predictions and how things have changed and how things are changing, and about the observability platform and the monitoring tools that are required. So that's something that I'll be talking about. So if I have to say about API transformation, so when we talk about typically development, we talk about client-server architecture. So to put it in simple terms, so there is a server component, there is a client, API is the middle layer that using which we connect. And this is how a typical client-server architecture was probably 20 years ago when I started, where we have a server and a client, both of it in one corner of your physical office premise. We write both server-side code as well as client-side code, connect and talk with that. But with Web 2.0, almost 15 years ago, when cloud started picking up, you can have your server components anywhere and connect using client through the cloud. That you can connect from anywhere in the world. That's the transformation that happened. And then with cloud picking up, there were a lot of public cloud providers who came up with, who can give the backend components, and still you can connect using your client. But this did not make all the businesses to move to the public cloud. Even today, as I'm talking with you, I had a discussion where people asked, no, I'm a banking domain. I can't take my system to the cloud. I want on-premise solution. So that's what is predominantly there, and which means the hybrid environment is what is in existence. There are some portion of it in public cloud, some of them on-prem, but everything has to work together from a central console. That's a hybrid environment most of the businesses are. So if I have to put this in a different terminology or a different strategy, so what used to be a monolith architecture where we had all our business logic or your data accessing layer, your user interface, even though we wrote them as small components, but all of them is one mega monolith component. Something fails, the entire system fails. From this monolith architecture, things have changed to microservice architecture, where we have now containers for each of these components, be it your business logic can run in a separate container, and your data accessing can happen in a separate container. Your access with your end user can happen in a different container. So this is the transformation that is happening in the industry. But as we saw earlier, everything has not yet moved. It's a transformation that is happening. And the next one is about serverless. I don't even want your servers. I just have to have my logic. I can write functions, and using functions, I can still build an application. I can take the best of what is available in the market and build my application. So this is how the transformation is happening. And APIs play a major role in all these. Whatever be the transformation that we have been seeing, APIs are there. APIs are required, and they are the core for all your, be it your cloud-based services or for your applications, your web applications, mobile. Mobile is the future that we are seeing. Everything that all of us are using most of the apps from mobile. But for your mobile applications to work, The base underlying is your API. You're using REST APIs is what we connect using most of our mobile applications. So APIs play a major role in that sense. So cloud is not something new. It's not even the recent 10 years that cloud started picking up. It's almost 15 years since the digital transformation happened, and a lot of changes that have been happening. So when you do a cloud architecture, there are different layers, and I'm going to categorize them as 4 layers, where the top layer is your end user layer that comprises of your browsers, your mobile apps, or your tablets, using which you actually connect to the underlying application layer, the software as a service layer, where the actual business logic is hosted. If you are a business owner, you have to focus more on this layer and leave the rest of it to the providers that are already available. And if you see the sandwich, the intermediate that connects these layers are mostly the APIs. That's how it is evolving. And the platform layer that comprises of your caching servers, NoSQL servers, your queues, your microservices, all of them form the platform layer. And the bottommost is your infrastructure layer, which comprises of your physical servers, virtual servers, cloud servers, your network, firewall, load balancer. Everything comprises the infrastructure layer. Okay, so these are the 4 layers, and it is important for the administrator. If you are a person who's taking care of your business, you're moving in the cloud, it's important to know what's happening across all these layers. Because particularly when you have it in the cloud, suppose there is a failure, somebody is claiming that your website is not reachable, your application is not working. We have this APIs domain. If anything you take, website is a starting point. If somebody says that it is not working, and if you're the owner of that business, the problem can be anywhere in all these layers. It could be because there is an ISP that is having an issue in the client end. That could cause the problem. Or there is a logic flaw that is happening in your code that you have written that's causing the problem. Or it could be a data leak, database resource that is not closed properly in the platform layer that is causing the problem. Or a port in a switch is not functioning properly in your infrastructure. That could be a problem. But whatever is the problem, your customers are having issues, they are not able to see the web page, there is problem, particularly in the cloud environment. So it is important for a person, could be we call it IT administrator or developer, DevOps, whatever role that they play, they have to know end to end of what is happening across all these layers. So with that context, how is the future going to be? So I was researching for this talk. I've talked about this in various other platforms and communities too. So when I was researching, so what's the future going to be? How is it? What is the prediction? So every business, if you take, typically revolve around 2 different sets of people. One is customers, other is employees. It's going to be around people. People-centric is what is important. So when we talk about customers and employees, what is that we are looking for? Customer happiness. So happy customers and empowered employees. Employees have to have all the power that they need. So this is how the future is going to be. So if we talk, there was a survey, Gartner survey, that said 50% of all your low-code clients will come from business buyers outside of IT organizations. It's not that for your business there are going to be only enterprises who are going to buy. You have a mobile application, anybody can become your customer. So that is how this is going to change. And there was this study that caught my attention from data.ai. I have the source here. I can share the presentation with the people. And that talked about mobile adoption in 2021. We are in 2022. But if you see the mobile adoption in 2021, the new apps that were downloaded were 230 billion. That boils down to 435K apps download per minute. So that's the rate at which mobile is being used across the globe. And the App Store spend is almost 170 billion, which is 320K per minute of App Store spend that is happening. Daily time that is spent per user is 4.8 hours. That's almost 1/3 of our awakened time. So that is the mobile adoption that's happening in the industry. So the industry is moving towards digital first customers. So if you are a developer and you are developing software, you have to, it's not just important for us to worry about only web client, the mobile client. Is your application working fine in the mobile first? So that is something you have to look into. And similarly, when we talk about work, I think after this pandemic, almost all of us would want to take at least remote work in some point in time. It's not that we are going to return back to our work. So 97% would like to work remotely at least some point of their career, which means employees are becoming remote first. So all your resources that you're having, all your processes that you follow, your development processes, it has to be in line with working remote. It's not that certain things will not work and you have to come to the office environment. So this has to be taken care, and that's the future of work. The digital first customers, remote first employees, you have to have the required tools in place so that you can take care of your deployment environment as well as development from remote work. So the hybrid work environment, the focus is on people, process, and products. Whatever change is required so that you can adopt to both that what we talked about, the digital first customers and the remote first employees, that has to be taken into account in your environment or in your organization so that you can keep up with what the industry is expecting. So choosing the right set of tools for all your development needs in a hybrid work environment is what's going to help you to keep up with what the industry is expecting. So at Site 24/7, we are a 15-year-old product in the organization. We were able to, with proper tools in place, we were able to do 10x more build updates from what we used to do earlier. This is just the overview of all the different layers that we had so that we can, starting from a user branch to our build update, we had lot of componentization and lot of tools in place so that we could make sure that we are able to cater to this. So observability, heard of the term observability? Yeah, so it revolves around 3 pillars: metrics, traces, logs. So whatever you monitor, you have to make sure you collect all these relevant data. Metrics, if you have to take, there are 3 important metrics that we have to focus. Availability. All your resources have to be up and running. Availability metrics. And the second metric is performance. So it's not sufficient for your resources to be up and running, but they have to be performing good. Slow is the new down. None of us have patience to sit and see a page that is going to take forever to load. We just do refresh or move to some other page. So performance is important. Third one is security. We heard from our earlier speaker talk about how important security is. So you should have all the metrics around these. And that's one pillar. The second pillar is trace. Once you know that it is taking more time, you need to know exactly where it is taking time, and that's possible using tools. You can trace across all the platforms and get to know the line of code that is having issue. So the monitoring tool that you're choosing, make sure you're able to choose tools that can give all these tracing capabilities. And the third pillar is logs. Logs is, we were also having another discussion with a person where they go take remote control of each of the system to look at what's happening in the logs. But that's not possible in a distributed environment. You need to collect all these information, do all the calculation, process it, and store it in such a way that you can query whenever required. So to put it in simple terms, converting your unstructured data to structured data is log management. That's also required in your tool that you are using. So choosing the right tool is important. And this is one of my favorite quotes when I have to talk about choosing right tool. We shape our tools and they in turn shape us. So the tools that we have in our hand plays a major role in what we do. If we have a hammer in our hand, everything will look like a nail. That's a screw over there. But we only have a hammer in our hand, we will end up only hitting it. So choosing the right tools is important. There are many tools in the market, and Site 24/7 is one such tool that can do a complete full stack monitoring for all your monitoring needs, from your websites to your application. The 4 layers that I talked about for your end user layer, for your application layer, for your platform, for your infrastructure, we have monitoring that is possible using Site 24/7. And it's not a new product. We started in 2006. 2007 was our first release. And it's a 15-year journey where we have added all the requirements based on what the industry needs and what the customer is asking for us. So we have data centers across the globe. That was another discussion we were having. People were worried that they don't want their data to go out of their data center. So we have different data centers. We also have a data center in Europe, and you can make sure that your data resides within the geographical boundaries of that particular region. Being a cloud provider, we do take privacy, security, compliance very seriously and get all the required certifications that are required in the market. And that's it. Now, I know I just came a bit fast because I just had 15, 20 minutes time. So the API have been evolving over a period of time, and future of work is going to be digital first and empowered employees. Make sure you have all the processes, tools in place to support that. Observability plays a major role. The 3 pillars on what you monitor is important. Site 24/7 is an AI-powered full-stack monitoring solution. So that's me and my colleague Akash. We have a booth up there. So do visit us for a detailed demo of the product. We're also doing a raffle. You can just come and collect your raffle tickets and get to know about the product there. I just finished with this one quote, another quote. So this is a quote from the book Alice in Wonderland. I don't remember reading that book when I was a child, but I still remember them reading it for my children. And the quote goes like this: you have to be running as fast as you can in order to stay in the same place. And if you want to make any progress, you have to run twice as fast as you can. So this is relevant for us in the industry that we are in. We have to keep ourselves updated, otherwise we'll be outdated. We do take that seriously. We make sure we look into what the technology happenings in the industry and put it into our product too. So it's for the product as well as personally, I felt that's an important quote for us to be relevant in the industry. Thank you so much for your time. And that's my colleague Akash, who has just come in here. Thank you.
Observability processes already in place? A little, yeah. Are you measuring all 3 of those things? Availability, performance, security?
Yes. Metrics, traces, logs, and maybe you're using your own tools or you're using some open source tools, or it could be any third-party tools as well. But make sure you have all of them in one place.
Raji, what would you hope out of those who have said that they are using observability tools, if they're going back to the office next week or remotely working next week, what would you hope that they look for in their observability processes and approaches that would help them improve, like a couple of steps, help them start running twice as fast?
Yeah. So the first important thing that you have to look for in your observability platform that you are seeing is, see if you are collecting the relevant metrics, because metrics is a general term. It will vary from what is the component that we are monitoring. If it is a server, you'll have to collect all the CPU, memory, disk utilization processes. If you are monitoring your application, the response time, the throughput, those are the metrics. So collecting relevant metrics, that's the quote that I told earlier. The tool that you have is important. So see if you are collecting relevant metrics and see if you are using it. A lot of time, I tell my people, my development team, if you're not using something, please don't collect and store it in the backend. Who's going to see if you're not? So that's important. You have to collect what you are using. Otherwise, drop off in the source itself. There's no point in just wasting resources and storing them, which you're not going to use. So that's something crucial that we have to take into consideration, collecting relevant metrics and making use of them wherever possible.
Yep, it's a great framework. There's those 4 layers, and then there's the 3 pillars, and then within the pillars there's the
relevant metrics that you have to
as
collect.
Well. So like a really great scorecard that you can use to just see how your observability processes stack up. Any other questions? No? Okay, Raji, that was fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you so
We can
much.
thank
Thank
Raji
you.
again.